Hello， 我是刘轩，这是我的节目刘轩的 How to 人生学。如果你看过皮克斯的电影《灵魂急转弯》Soul， 你一定会记得电影里面那个作为故事主轴的爵士音乐。而那部电影的作曲家，也就是我今天的来宾，钢琴家、歌手、八座葛莱美奖的得主 Jon Batiste。Jon Batiste 来自纽奥良的音乐世家，他受过茱莉亚音乐学院的古典训练，但是在他的世界里面，古典跟爵士还有蓝调、gospel 福音、流行音乐都可以在同一张专辑里面并存。Jon Batiste 以《灵魂急转弯》拿下了奥斯卡奖，还有金球奖与格莱美奖。而他2022年的专辑《We Are》也在格莱美奖中获得11项提名，抱回5座大奖，包括那一届的年度专辑 The Album of the Year。 那今天呢，我会有机会访问到这位音乐大师，也是因为他将在5月31号在高雄的卫武营国家艺术文化中心的音乐厅举办钢琴独奏会。 Yes， 就叫 Jon Batiste Live A Fantastical Musical Journey， 这是他首次来到台湾。所以就在他来到台湾之前呢，我们就先约了这场对话。我们先从他的车上开始，聊到他家里，这个过程非常即兴又自然，就跟他本人一样。那我们虽然对话的时间不长，但我们聊得很深，包括音乐与人生的意义，还有一些难得听到的幕后创作的故事。接下来就让我们一起来认识 Jon Batiste。 You seem to be on your way somewhere?
Yes, we got caught in the traffic jam coming from New Jersey, so still on the road.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard about the Long Island Railroad going on strike.
Oh, that's what's happening. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it started on Saturday. So the last time the Long Island Railroad was on strike was in 1994. And it just created this chaos because 250,000 people take that every day.
Every day.
All of that. Yeah. This morning when I was taking my kids to school, I mean, just like the traffic was just backed up. It was crazy.
I couldn't believe it. It's taken double the amount of time it usually takes.
Yeah. Well, I'm very, very happy that you still made time. You are making time right now for us to sit down and do this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm just very excited about the tours and Taiwan is, this is my first time. I'm super excited.
Yes, your first time.
First time.
Oh man, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I heard that your one of your Grammy outfits was actually made by a Taiwanese pastor.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes. This is an exciting vision that he had. It was so incredible to witness the artistry, but the vision was equally impressive. He never designed before until he got a vision from reading the scripture. And he got a vision from the Lord that told him his calling, his vocation to design was something that only could happen when the Lord gives him the vision of what to design. And he makes one piece. And that's it.
Wow.
He sees the vision, and he's the vessel to design that one piece. And every piece that he's created has been one of one. And it's wearable art. It's museum-worthy art that you can wear. And it's a beautiful thing to represent the power of following God and the faith through what you're wearing on a red carpet or on a stage.
Amen. I love when you use the word vessel, because that's how I like to think of myself also. When I begin every interview now is I just think that, just let myself be the vessel for the messages that shall come.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really special. I love that vision. That's how I think about music and creativity. It's less of me, more
Right.
of you.
Right.
We remove me,
Yes.
let my spirit and my craft and the work that we've put into it be the facilitation of the higher power of the call.
Mhm.
And it facilitates the message as the vessel for something that is beyond my own sense of self, my own humanity is from the divine source.
Do you ever find yourself being almost amazed, like a bystander, when things happen?
Yes, it's a sense of amazement. It's a sense of being completely connected. It's a
Mm,
sense of being contented and knowing that you're exactly where you should be.
I love that. I love that. Let's get into it, shall we? Because I hear that you have to go at 11.
And I should be in my destination in about 5 to 10 minutes. So you'll see me leave the call, but I'm not leaving the conversation.
All right. So I'll just do an opening and
Great.
then we'll get into it.
Amazing.
Okay. All right. Oh, and one final question before we begin, because I love the movie Soul, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there is that scene in there where John Gardner, right?
Yes.
Joe Gardner, and he puts all of the stuff that 22, picked up, and he puts it in front of the piano, and he starts improvising. So that's one of my favorite scenes, right? But then I looked in the liner notes, and it says that it was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross who wrote that part. So did you write that part, or did they?
I wrote that part.
You wrote that
And
part?
yes, I wrote that part. And the song itself that comes in about a minute in after
Right,
the
there were some
part you're
strings and
referencing.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was a very interesting part of working on Soul. There were moments where there was a collaboration between us, and it was not something that was usual for a film score. Usually you have one composer, and
Right.
that person is responsible for all of the music.
Hmm.
But this was something so unusual that they didn't know sometimes where I began and where they would end, and vice versa. And they had written a cue, and they brought
Mm,
it to the studio. It's a cue called Epiphany. It's actually one of my favorite cues in the film.
mm.
And they brought it to the studio, and I started to play around with it. And then I ended up composing the intro and performing the piano throughout the cue that they had written.
Yeah.
So I transformed it and composed a bit, but I didn't take credit for that because
Mm.
they had originally been in charge of that section, but our
Ah,
collaboration blended so much that it just became
right.
it was not something that I was so adamant about everything that I do getting my name attached to it in that way.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to get clarity on that because that is my favorite moment in the film.
Wow.
And that, I mean, even thinking about it now gives me goosebumps just in the truth of what music is at that moment, you know?
Man, thank you so much. I
So I wanted to ask you during our
wow.
conversation about your process and what was going through your mind when you were writing that. But
Oh
then,
yeah,
then I looked on Apple Music. I was like, well, wait a second, but didn't list you on that. So I just, before we began, I just
for
wanted to,
sure.
all
No, I
right,
can tell you
yeah.
all about it.
Oh
That
man, oh,
part,
great.
it's deep that you keyed into that moment. because that's a perfect example. Wow.
That moment spoke so much to me. I mean, it's really, I mean, now when that is one of my favorite films of all time. And I think because of that scene, really
wow.
because of that scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get the show on the road. All right. You're already on the road.
Yeah. On the road.
On the road. All right. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the How To School of Life. I'm your host, Sean Liu. Today, our guest is pianist, composer, singer, band leader, Oscar winner, 8-time Grammy winner, the legendary musician, Jon Batiste. I've followed his work for many years, not only his albums, but when he was on my favorite late night talk show, The Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert, where he was band leader for 7 seasons. And what I found most fascinating about Jon is his vibe, the positivity, the creativity, the way he thinks about music as a living language, about joy as something you practice, and about what it means to create something truly human in an age of imitation. So Jon will be making his Taiwan debut with a solo piano concert on May 31st, 2026, at the Wei Wu National Kaohsiung Center for the Arts. So any lover of music who is in Taiwan at this time should jump on this opportunity to watch this master at work. And we will put all the links in the show notes. And now, without further ado, please welcome Jon Batiste. You changed. You got a suit on.
Yeah. Do you want to do this casual? Because I can take the shirt off.
No. Wow, man.
We can both have T-shirts as well.
I am outdressed. You know what?
Do you want to? Because I can change it.
I can suit up too. There we go.
That's nice. You look great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's a great look.
with the hat and the suit. Yeah, let me adjust this here.
That's a great look to have the hat and the suit, It's kind of like a great blend of both worlds.
Is New York. That's how we do it.
This artwork is Suleika's work. She's a painter, and a writer, and she's really done great with her artwork. She had an exhibit recently, and this is one of the works that was in the exhibit. If you see here, it's underwater.
Yeah.
And there are many different aspects of visions that she will receive, and she'll paint them.
Oh.
She'll paint different things that she sees in a dream. And it's really been such an incredible gift to our home. Her work is everywhere throughout our house. I'm speaking to you now from our home.
Yeah. It almost seems like there's a couple of the jellyfish that almost look like people.
Exactly. Yes. It's that the liminal space between waking and being asleep.
Yes.
All of these different visions that blend together.
Yes.
Almost like a Salvador Dali painting or something like a fairy tale. Mythology.
The liminal space. I have such a spiritual experience with liminal space, and my grandmother who passed away during COVID towards the end, not from COVID, but it was during the pandemic, so we couldn't really see her because she was really old, right? And I was still living in Taiwan at the time, and we were in Paris. I was in Paris, and at the time, and I was just waking up. And it was like 6 a.m. And I was in that liminal space where I couldn't even remember if my eyes were open or not, right? And then suddenly it was like a camera that went to Nanking, right? And it was during the Nanking massacre, because actually my grandmother was there. She lived through the Nanking massacre. Yeah, she was in a missionary school, so she was protected. And then the camera zooms out very quickly, and then it was in Taipei, and then it zooms out very quickly, and it was in Paris, and suddenly she appeared in front of me. She just appeared in front of me, right? Looking radiant, and she says to me, she says, Sean, be happy, because when you're happy, you make yourself happy, and you make people around you happy. And it was during a period of time when I was very unhappy in my life. And she disappeared, and I woke up, and I just thought, I'm going to listen to Grandma. So that day when I was walking around Paris, I was like, just trying to be like Jim Carrey, yes man, just everything was like, it's great, this is great, waiting for some crepes, it was burnt, it's good, tickets to the Eiffel Tower sold out, like let's climb it, it's good, Then we get back to our hotel and open up my computer, and my mom tells me that my grandma just passed away that day, right? The amazing part, which is the part that made it very, very spiritual for me, was so her memorial service was held when we were on our way from Paris to London by the Eurostar. And so we were in the tunnel and we didn't have any reception, but as soon as we got to King's Cross, I said, I found this place called Booking Office, which is this restaurant over there. And I said, hey, can I use your Wi-Fi? Because I want to catch the tail end of my grandma's memorial service. And they're like, yeah, sure, use our staff Wi-Fi. It's a little quicker. I was like, thank you. So we sat down, we're having some brunch, and I opened up, and we saw just before they closed the casket, there was my grandma, and she was wearing the same dress that appeared in my liminal dream. Wow. Right. I mean, now, I get emotional even talking about it now, because it just, when, like I told my mom this, and so my mom was like, this is the best thing that you can tell me. I mean, this is better than any consolation that anyone can tell me, because it just means that she is there, Yeah.
She's with you. She's watching you. That's such a beautiful story, and it speaks to how everything is connected. And
it
we're
really
constantly,
is.
yes, they're with us.
Yeah. And I have to say, like for the longest time, I wasn't a practicing Christian, but I've, since, I've come to the faith, I got baptized on Mother's Day last year, actually. On Mother's Day. And, it's been the greatest gift from my mom, and greatest gift to myself also. Yeah, things have just been fantastic after that.
Yes, flow.
Yeah,
and flow.
Yes. And really, and talking about myself as a vessel now. So anyway, let's get back into it. I guess I don't have to do the intro over anymore. I'll just pick up from, hey, John, how you doing?
No, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And we're picking up our conversation from earlier in the car.
Yes,
during a very hectic day in the middle of your hectic schedule. So thank you so much for making the time for us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start by asking a question that I've always had in my mind, because, you're known for doing so many things. People know you as pianist, as composer, band leader, singer. But when you sit down at the piano by yourself, what or who do you feel most connected to?
Wow. I feel connected to something that is beyond explanation. It's something that is beyond words. We talk about the movie Soul, and how everything comes from a place that's connected to the source. And me playing is my expression of that.
Yeah. And your background when you grew up, and I guess here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background as well. I'm a first-generation immigrant. I was born in Taiwan, and I moved to the U.S. with my family when I was 8 years old. not speaking a word of English, right? And so in the beginning, it was really tough for me. And where I grew up in Queens, my neighbors at the time were mostly Italian or Irish. Mm-hmm. And so the American sort of culture that I picked up was, through their culture, and which is by itself an immigrant culture, really, right? And the music that we listened to, right? Pop and the rock and everything. And it wasn't until I went to high school in Stuyvesant in Manhattan that I was first then exposed to, the beginning of rap music at the time, hip hop, early hip hop, and really a lot of the music that I was hearing come down from, from Bronx and from Harlem, and it touched me in such a different way, right? And so your last album that also won a Grammy for Americana, right? And it's called Big Money.
Yes.
And such a statement on the times, right? But also just the music itself is, although I think music is a universal language, but I also feel like it carries so much culture in there that different types of music is like a window into different cultures and ways of thinking and experiencing. So I'm really interested to know, how does growing up in New Orleans, and that culture that you grew up in, how do you bring that as a language to the world?
There's a special culture in New Orleans of music that's a part of everyday life. There's music when someone is born. There's music for when someone passes into the next realm. There's music for certain foods and certain dances that you learn as you grow up, and you are a part of the culture by participating in our social traditions, which are all scored with music. So I learned about music being a part of life first, and then I learned about music as entertainment after. That was my foundation. So I didn't think I would be a musician as a profession, even though I played music when I was a kid. It was just a part of our tradition.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I continued down the path of playing and learning and sharing. And that became my calling. It was my calling all along. I just, I was born into a very rich cultural inheritance. It's become something that's allowed for me to understand and communicate across the world with different cultures and to connect with people all around the world. So I believe that music and the culture of New Orleans in particular has a beautiful connectivity to the world because it is very much about the expression of music as a universal language and connecting to the universal things that are a part of all human life: birth, death, growth, graduation, the sharing of a meal, fellowship at the dinner table,
Breaking bread.
Sunday.
Yes.
It's all connected to
The
our
gospel.
lives.
And so much of this, I want to ask you about this because I think the most unique thing is blues, right? The concept of blues. And what really struck me about blues when I was first exposed to it is how it's like a paradox. How blues can sound happy, but also be very tragic, right? That it can sing about sadness, but with a lot of hope and courage. And that to me is been the hallmark of what I hear in soul, in blues and soul and everything that followed after that, right? What is it for you?
Blues is when optimism meets fear. We all have fears. We all have doubts. But to meet that with optimism and meet that with a sense of overcoming, even if things don't go the way that you planned for them to go. That's the beauty of the blues. It still is rooted in a sense of overcoming and a sense of making a way. And that's the human spirit, the resilience of the soul that we all carry within us is exemplified in the sound of the blues.
I really hear that, and especially with taking something unpredictable and then making something out of it, right? So let's go into improvisation, which is a very big part of your work. And I'm reminded of the story, legendary, really, about American Symphony, which is, you were composing American Symphony, and it took a long time. So it was getting the premiere in Carnegie Hall. And then you guys finish the first movement, and then what happens?
The power in the building goes completely out. A power outage. Believe it or not, this was one of the first times, maybe the first time in history at Carnegie Hall that the power goes out. And it was on stage. So the audience was unaware. It was only on stage, only for the musicians who were communicating with each other through in-ear monitors, and for the engineers and the recording team that was capturing this this one time only, one night only performance.
So what was going on at the time? How long did it take? What did you do?
It was for about 15 minutes. And what ended up being a bridge of music that was improvised, to your previous point, the way that I constructed this moment, this spontaneous occurrence, was by improvising. I sat at the piano and I began to play. And it started to flow. It started to come through me. And that's when I realized, about 5 minutes in, that it was meant to be this way.
And then the power came back on.
It came back on just as we were reaching the point where the music had been going for long enough that, if it were to be any longer, it would seem unusual. And we went right into the movement that we were about to play before the power went out.
Goosebumps, man. Wow. I mean, it's what was going through your mind when the music hit back in, you guys resumed the movement?
It was so many thoughts at once that it felt almost as if there was no thought. It was instinct. It was the flow. It was a complete connection to the present, because there'd been so many things leading up to this moment that had been challenging. The rehearsal process, all of the different life events that were going on at the time in my life, and the approach to really overcoming all of that being channeled into this work. And the one moment that we're presenting it to the world after years of toil and so much heartbreak, and we reach this moment where it's happening and it almost doesn't happen or it almost falls apart. That's an allegory for life and how we must continue forward on our calling, continue forth on our path, and to know that we are in the right place, even if it doesn't seem to be that way in the moment. Just stick through it and you'll see on the other side that we are all where we need to be.
Life as music. And that brings me to the conversation we started in the car about my favorite movie, Soul, right? And you composed the music with also Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, but all the jazz pieces you performed. And my favorite moment in that movie was when the lead, Joe Gardner, he comes back home after achieving what he thought that he always wanted, but then feeling very empty. And then he sits down by himself at the piano and he takes the various things out of his pockets that were different things, like a leaf, like a little crust of a pizza, and things that the 22 had picked up along the way, and he puts it in front of him. And he puts the music, the sheet music aside, and he uses that as if it's sheet music. And he looks at that and he starts improvising. That, to me, was the soul of Soul, the movie, and why it's my favorite movie.
Oh.
So I really want to know what you were thinking when you were playing, when you were composing on that cue.
Well, that cue felt the most fundamental to my belief about music, which is what we play is life. What comes through is life. And he had lived these experiences. He had expressed this desire for a dream, and he'd achieved it and realized that it's not the dream that he thought it was. And in fact, he is already living the dream. He is already where he is meant to be. I wanted to capture that essence. Thank you for your kind words. I really am grateful to that moved you, and that scene is something very much a part of the philosophy of the film. That's the core moment.
That moment to me spoke truth. That as much as whatever notes that you see written on a page, that ultimately music is a reflection of the life that we experience. And if you can stop to notice those things that, Joe was missing sort of along the way, right? That 22 was somehow finding some amazement in, that those little moments can add up to form the music of the soul. And I know that you're going to be doing your solo piano concert very soon in Taiwan. Yeah. And it's going to be your first time in Taiwan, right? So you in a live room, one artist, one instrument, one audience. What are you looking forward to here?
I'm just so grateful to be able to meet new friends around the world and to connect to great culture and to share music and to create memories that bring joy and bring people together. I'm so excited to come to Taiwan and to share my gift, share the gift of music, and to make friends forever, and to really make this the first of many expressions of joy and love through music. The creativity of my shows when I'm at the piano solo is co-created with the audience. It's a spontaneous connection. It feels as if we are creating a moment that is very much in concert with each other. Our collective intentions come together and create a one-of-a-kind moment that can never be repeated again. And the notes that I play similar to the scene in Soul. It's the energy and the life force that is in the room coming through my fingers into the piano and right back out to the room. So these concerts are such a very special sharing and a representation of my love for the people. I say this all the time.
Yeah.
I love you even if I don't know you, because that's the way I believe the world should be. And it can be if we practice it one by one. Eventually, that will lead to more love, and more love leads to more love.
Yes. Just curious, are you going to be playing anything from Beethoven blues?
Yes, I'm very excited to share.
Yeah.
I started to play with my dad as my first mentor. I come from a musical family, and we believe in passing on the tradition of music. As we were saying about New Orleans, the Batiste family is a very, very prominent and large musical family, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. And my mother is a very educated woman who has many degrees, and she's very much the reason why I started studying classical piano and learned about Beethoven when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I began to play. And the combination of the music that my father had given me and the music my mother introduced me to is what eventually led to Beethoven blues.
Oh. Well, I know that you have to go very soon, and you have a concert. I think you have a performance coming up right now.
Yes,
right?
it's
So you're all dressed up.
I am releasing a album of Mozart's music.
Yes, we're waiting that. Yeah, so you're going to be performing that. I know it's going to be dropping in June, right?
Yes, Mozart and then Thelonious Monk. So Mozart and Monk, two musical brothers of 250 years apart, 200 years apart from each other. I believe they're kindred souls. I believe they have similar musicality.
Yes, and I can't wait to hear it. Although I'm sorry to be missing your concert on May 31st because I'm stuck in New York. I got to take care of kids and stuff.
No, I understand. Family always.
But yes, it's family. It's family. But, I am so happy that you will be sharing your musical gifts with my Taiwan family, on May 31st. And finally, last question. If someone comes to your concert carrying the heaviness of everyday life, what do you hope they leave with?
I hope they leave feeling completely unburdened and completely lifted, uplifted higher to their natural highest state of being, which is to resonate at the frequency of love and joy and contentment. The music can transform your woes into joy. And that's what we create when we put the sound frequency in the air through our instruments, through our voices, through our dance. It becomes something that is transformational. It alchemizes the darkness and changes it into light.
I hear that. And it's such a gift. And I thank you for giving us the time out of your busy day to share with us. I feel like our conversation could have gone on so much longer. I hope that we do have another chance at some point in the future.
I look forward to it. You have such a great disposition, and from your countenance, you can see how you've really done so much of the positive spiritual work. You have such a sense of contentment as we speak about that. You exemplify that. So I would love to continue to have conversations and to share thoughts and stories and music.
Thank you so much, John. And thanks to everyone who's watching, who's listening to our podcast today. And again, we're going to put all of the links in our show notes. May 31st, 卫武营 in 高雄 Jon Batiste. Be there and bring your spirit, bring your happiness, bring your sorrows, bring your energy, and be a part of the experience. And thank you, Jon, once again.